Hello, welcome to the official Janie Crow Persian Tiles videos. We've created these to help you as you work through the Persian Tiles project. We haven't created them to replace the pattern. It's important that you note that. So if you don't have the pattern yet, you are going to need that. And we've put a link in the information below the video so you can find it if you don't have it as yet. The videos are intended to help you through some of the tricky bits. We asked you what you wanted to see, and these are the results. So for an example, we will be having a look at the famous crisscross stitch. That's the one that seems to trip a lot of people up, and that is actually repeated throughout all four parts of the pattern, being the octagon, the square, and the two triangle. So all these parts are needed to kind of work together and create the square blanket, and you'll see those crisscrosses run through all of them. So that was a big request. We'll also be looking at how to make these fans, at the clusters, and some other bits and bobs along the way that might be useful for you. As an example, we've created this playlist, and within the playlist you're going to find a couple of Jane's generic tutorials which will give you some great grounding for all projects, not just these. As an example, we've got some neat working in the round tips and tricks which will help very much with this project, and also sewing in ends, so they're in the playlist as well. Just a quick look at the making up image, which is towards the end of the pattern. You're going to see here the octagons and the squares that sit between them, and the triangles of two sizes that are sitting around the edge. So it's made up of 4 elements, and we'll be looking at each of them. And the other thing, we will actually also be looking at how to sew them all together. That was another thing you're really interested in seeing. In terms of how to approach the project, of course, it's entirely up to you how you choose to make it. Jane always recommends a production line method, and it's a really good idea. And what that means is, as an example, you've got to make 16 of the octagons, and what you would do is you'd make 16 of the centres, and then you'd work the next round on all of them, and the next round on all of them, and so on and so on. And that means you've got 16 of these pieces all growing at the same rate. Of course, the advantage of that is if you're having to really concentrate and really work out where your stitches go and sort of really sort of sit and puzzle at it, once you've done it a few times, you're really used to it all, and it's fresh in your mind, and you can kind of go through that a little bit easier than if you're sort of working it all the way through and then having to go back to the beginning and re-look at stuff and kind of think again and think again. So it's a nice it's a sort of gentler on your brain to work, I think, in a production line method. So that's the reasoning behind that. If perhaps you're newer to crochet or a little less confident, Jane suggests perhaps starting with the granny square element of the project. There's a lot of familiarity about a granny square, isn't there? And there's very little in here to trip you up. I know we're looking at those cross stitches, but we can get those out of the way early, build your confidence, and once you've done it here, you can do it anywhere. So if you really want to kind of dip your toe in gently, start with the squares. Okay, that's the introduction over with. Let's get started.